How's it going, everybody? Marc Raimondi back with ESPN here, this time with UFC middleweight contender Marvin Vettori. Good to talk with you, Marvin. How are things? You're down in Orange County, California. How's the sun? How's the weather? How are things down there?
Hey, Mark. Everything's good. The weather is good. Weather is always good around here. And yeah, I've been back. I've been taking care of some stuff, and I've been training. And I mean, I'm 2 weeks away from being in that shape where in a month's time I could take on anybody. So yeah, man. I mean, if they give me a fight in like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that, I'm ready to go. So yeah, but it's not. It hasn't been easy to find anybody that wants to fight me.
I definitely want to ask you about that, but it's been a little bit since we've spoken last, so I want to dial it back to last month, and you had the fight against Karl Roberson, of course, in Las Vegas. Now, going back even further, back to Jacksonville, you're supposed to fight Roberson. Of course, he missed weight, went to the hospital, the fight fell off, and we know that was extremely devastating for you because you've been through the ringer the last few months, and we'll talk about that as well. But so you finally fight Roberson. He misses weight again in Vegas last month. But he does fight. You end up fighting him and you finish him. Just what was that feeling like to finally kind of get that burden off your shoulders?
It's been crazy. If I think about it, it's been crazy. Like, yeah, I remember we talked right before going to London, and I was in the airport, and you were like, "Oh yeah, are you not like worried about going to London?" This and that. I'm like, no, man. Like we put it all in the line. It doesn't really make sense to me to be that worried about this virus when we put it all in the line every day basically. And then we went there, that fell off, and then like you said, all this stuff, and then he missed weight again. It's been good, man. It's been good because I felt like I reached another level of like of being able to pushing through, and another level of like keeping my nerves in check for that long. And because reality, it was basically a 6 months camp basically.
Mm-hmm.
And but no, it was good. I mean, like I was able to stay on the whole time, and then make weight twice in the matter of a month basically. And yeah, and then perform at my best, even though like it seems like it was everything went smooth for me, and like he was the only one that had problems, but it's not like that. It's
Right.
like it went smooth because I mean it looked smooth because I made it look smooth, but it wasn't at all. I have there is a whole bunch of things that any camp happens and you have to overcome. And so but yeah, no, I was super happy. And I mean like it was like I said back then, I was like, I cannot come out from this situation uh, 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 on the bottom. Like I have to come out of this on top, and to come out on top means that no matter what happens, but I come out with a win after this whole situation. And I mean, the frustrating part a little bit was that I know I'm still very far out from where I want to be even after this fight, but at least I'm taking a step forward. And so, and I was like, man, to make this kind of a big step, to make this step, which is not even that big in terms of like long term, which is it's big, but it's not like that massive. I had to work so much, but like at the end of the day, you got to stay present. You can't go too far out with the mind, because otherwise it's frustrating, and you just like you just take care of the of the of the of the objective a task like that you have on that moment. So yeah, I mean it was good. It was good, and then we made the most out of the situation, and that was the most important thing.
And for those that don't know, back in March, you of course were supposed to fight on that UFC London card, and you flew out to the card with the hopes of fighting. It got canceled basically a few hours after you landed. You had to, the very next day, you had to jump on a flight back to California, hoping to fight still that same week, that next weekend back in the United States. That of course also got canceled. So I know it's been a crazy few months and a crazy year for you.
And the funny part of that is that if I would have stayed there, I would have probably fought too, because
That's right,
then
because
my
you could have been on
opponent,
that card, right?
because then my opponent ended up fighting another guy, and they moved that fight on the Cage Warrior card.
That's right.
But I mean, at the end of it all, if the silver lining is that, like I went from fighting, I could have fought in a Cage Warrior card and yeah, win, get my money, of course, yeah. But then I ended up fighting 3 months after, which I mean is not a small time, but at least on a co-main and a UFC card and in Vegas. I mean,
Right.
so if I mean the silver lining is, if we want to see the positive part about this, it's
Sure.
that one. I mean,
Sure.
that
And
was
you, of
definitely,
course, and you got the finish, and it was a big win, and you're ranked number
yeah.
14 now in the UFC middleweight division. So I know you've been very active on Twitter, and I know that you really want to fight again soon. Why is it so important for you to stay active now? Is it because you feel like you kind of lost some time over the last few months, like you should be further ahead of where you thought you would be?
Well, I mean, first of all, like I always train. Like it's not that I'm just the kind of guy that like take times off, and like if I take time off, it's because I have to and because it's better for my long run to do it. And I feel like there are moments where you have to slow down for a moment. But if I don't need to and I feel good, I do my things. I make sure my body is it's 100, and then I'm back. So I'm like I'm
Right.
ready. Plus, yes, of course, I have my goals is to be in title contention and fight for the title and eventually get the title. So um, yeah, I have to keep going. I have to. I mean, but that's what I do. Like I don't do other things other than fighting and training and stuff. So I always train anyway. Why not get in a fight and get back in track and get back in the cage?
What would you say would be like an ideal scenario for you now? Who would be the opponent, and when would the fight be?
Well, I mean, I would have loved a super fight with like not like yeah, like a big fight with like a former and actual legend, because everybody's like, oh, Jacare, what are you calling out a 40 plus years old guy? I'm like, yeah, but Jacare is still relevant. Like he's been fighting like top guys till yesterday. Like like why do you guys acting like you kind of counting him out, and I'm like picking an easy fight, like calling out Jacare. Like it's not an easy fight. I mean, until yesterday, it was supposed to be like in title contention. So,
Mhm.
so I mean, I would have loved to fight somebody like Anderson and Jacare or something like that, but I feel like it's not happening. But and then they're like, oh, but why don't you call out somebody or like like younger up and comer like you? I'm like, yeah, I've been trying. He's like, but you can literally go through all the fighters in the top 15, and there is something going on with any of them. Like even Ian Heinisch. I mean, I would love to fight Jack Hermanson, but Jack Hermanson is just,
Mhm.
oh no, just coming out of win. But like the funny part is that he got submitted not too long ago from Cesar Ferreira, which is a guy that I dominated like completely.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, like they're like, how do you call it? Like circumstances went up and down, but it's not like. I mean, if it's about who really deserved to be in title contention, that's definitely a fight that makes sense. And I mean, the rankings is a number, man. But
Right.
it really like it's just like matchmaking, and then like how like you match up with opponents says a lot. And I feel like I can smash Jack Hermanson, so that would be he's up and coming for sure, and I'm calling him out. Jan Heinisch, I've been trying to fight this guy forever, and he's been always he's been finding like ways not to fight. I mean, now he's injured, so whatever. Cara de Zapato also, I would love that fight, even though he's behind me. Like I give him that fight, but he's been before he was like, oh, I'm not gonna fight you until you're ranked. Guess what? Now I'm before you. Like now I'm right before you. I could even just kind of act like you're behind me, but I still would like to revenge my loss against that guy.
Right.
Who else? Like a lot of
It
fighters that
sounds it
fights
sounds like
coming
you're
up.
willing to fight almost anyone who
I
at least is on a winning streak or has done well in the division.
anybody for real.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like the winner between Shabazian and Brunson, but even the
Right.
even the loser between those guys, any of them after their fight, if they don't take too long to come back after that fight. Who else is there? Either Weidman or even Omari. I mean, nothing against Omari or anything, but I would love to run back that fight. Weidman, I think, is perfect matchup for me. I love that matchup. I mean, that everybody talking about Darren Till is too far ahead, but I would love that fight too. Yeah, please give me that. Give me Darren Till. So I mean, anybody and then there's a lot of guys that are injured. So any guy in the division in reality has either a fight coming up, is he injured, or they have an excuse. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. But something will come up. I'm sure. But I'm not talking just for the talk. Like it's really what's going on.
Do you think? I mean, people talk about Shabazian. Of course, he fights on Saturdays at that main event against Brunson, and he's a top prospect. But I feel like you're only 26 years old, 27 years old. People don't talk about you being a prospect in the middleweight division. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just a matter of kind of getting on a run? I mean, your only loss in the last few years has been against the champion Israel Adesanya.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like I had like I had like a tough way all the way to here. In general, I just things are coming together now finally after a very long time. But before I really just because the way I am, like I've always been like I'm like, oh, you want to fight that guy? Yeah, sure. Like so it always ended up like I had hell of a fights when I wasn't there ready for it. Like I've been telling you, like fighting Carlos Zapata, my second UFC fight, when he had like that many more fights. It was my second fight, a 185 or third fight in general, because I used to be a 170. I was really like a kid almost. Like I was like 22 or 23 at the time. It wasn't the smartest move, but I fought him. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna smash that guy. But then came out and he just played it smart. His experience came out, and he was able to hold me and like steal the win. But like that's why I feel like now it would be like a completely different story. But in general, like there's been like I fought anybody. Like I had like super tough fights. Like all my early days, I fought basically everybody that now is in the top 15 or even champion. Like now it's actually like Israel is the champion, and it still amazed me how much more he knew about the striking game and how little he could do to me. And it still amazed me. I go back and watch that fight. I watched that fight not too long ago, and I was like, I can see how many things he knew more like about the striking game in general, and he was still able not to capitalize. Because I had my own way, even though I didn't know, but unconscious way of stopping on stopping it. And that was this one thing, though. I had the right approach on fighting Israel, but he knew so much more about the striking game. He was way more ahead, but unconsciously, just with my skills and the right approach, I was able to stop almost basically every offense that he had.
Right.
And with what I know now and with the experience I gained by now, oh man, it'd be such a different story now.
How do you see that fight going with him and Paulo Costa that just got announced for coming up here in September?
I think he's gonna. I'm not the guy that praised Israel because I had a good fight with Israel, but I think he's gonna piece Costa up because yeah, I think so. I really think so. Yeah, he's yeah. I think the skills level, like there are skills that are on my eyes are valued way more than others, and Costa has power and has toughness, and those are skills that are easily beaten by good eyes, reading the fights, and predicting things that you're gonna do in the fight in general. So and timing in general too. And I think Israel is ahead on all these things, even in experience in the ring in a sense. And
right.
even, I mean, and don't get me wrong, like Costa will come out very confident, like he always is, and he'll try. But from my perspective, I think Israel's gonna win that fight.
And how about Brunson and Shabazian on Saturday? Possibly a guy that you could be fighting in the future.
Yeah, I don't know about that fight because Brunson sometimes comes out good, some other times it doesn't, and I don't know. It's all about how he will come out. I think it's a good fight. I don't know. Shabazian hasn't been that active. I don't know. Like I don't know about that
Do you
fight
think
that much.
you think Shabazian is as good as people think that he is? He's only 22, of course.
I think Shabazian is very like he's a natural. You know, like I think he's a natural. Like he's a natural. Like he doesn't. He just I don't know how to explain it. Like things comes out from him, even though he's not that experienced and trained. I think, but that's the way he is. Like he's never gonna be like a. I don't know. Like he has good instinct. He has good instinct. I think.
Do you think he'd be a good matchup for Israel down the line? Think that would be a good fight?
I think Israel's still gonna. I think Israel is still better than him. Yeah. It's crazy. Like I wouldn't. At the end of it, I think that's the crazy part. I even watching the last fight, Romero and no Romero, Till and Whitaker.
Whitaker, yep.
I really think that Whitaker. It's funny because I even think that. I don't think that Whitaker that I saw against Till can be Israel. So at the moment, I think like I am the only guy that can beat Israel. I really believe that. I mean, Whitaker, like he was just. I think in a sense, Till had more skill than Whitaker. He could win that fight, but he was just Till fights. I don't know if it's the Yorga that messed him up, or if it's Till, or if it's moving up in weight. He fights scared. Like I can see like Till fights scared. He's very hesitant. He doesn't throw. Like he's very aware of the distance, and he make people miss, but he's hesitant. He's hesitant. You can't. He's nervous and hesitant. Like he hangs in there, and he's happy that he hanged in there by the end of the fight.
Couple last things, Marvin, and thanks again for the time, man. You're of course from Italy, but you've been living and training at in Orange County, training at King's MMA in Huntington Beach. But you haven't been back to Italy for a bit, and they got hit particularly hard by the coronavirus, of course. Do you plan on going back at all? How's the family? How are things back home?
Yeah, I want to go back and see family and chill with them for a moment. And I mean now, yeah, they've been hit hard. They were the first one, but now the situation is not bad.
Right.
I feel like even in between Europe, they're between the one that they're doing better now. And there are very few cases every day. That I think they're like a normal flu would have those kind of cases. Very little, almost no death and stuff. So no, I mean I think I'm looking forward to go back. I want to make sure that it won't be an issue for me to come back here,
right?
And not too long, because I don't want to stay there too long, because I want to fight soon. But yeah, I mean, no, I mean they got kind of over it, like, and no, they got over it, like, not kind of, like, they got over it. And,
right.
I hope they're gonna stay like that, and so yeah, I look forward to go back and see family, because it's been a while for sure.
So last thing, what would you say over this year, the last few months, and it's been a crazy year for a lot of people, but it's been crazy for you. So between your family being in Italy during the COVID-19 outbreak, all the missed opportunities and the the crazy flying around the world trying to find a fight and not happening, opponent going to the hospital, missing out on that fight. What would you say you've learned about yourself? I mean, do you think you've changed as a person, or you maybe found out new things about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think that if if I whatever adversity I have in front, if I take it as a challenge and I put it as like, like this is your next challenge, like, whatever it is, like I kind of externate from inside to like I put it in front of me, like that's a challenge, and we got to beat that. Like no matter what it is, you can't lose your nerves or your mind over this next task that you have to overcome. No matter what it is, I can do it. And I mean, at the end of the day, like, like humans did way more than just going through a 6 months camp. But in a sense, there's a lot going into it, and like, and every time having it shifted and then having it falling through, and the diet and this and that, I see a lot of people not making it the way I did it, performing at my best. So I just realized that I can do much more than that. And if I can stay on track with my head, and definitely, like, I mean, if they would have told me like, oh, like straight up, oh, you're gonna have a fight in May, no, in June, but you're gonna start training in January, and you'll have to cut weight 3-4 times and come close to the weight 3-4 times, but make weight twice in basically a month, I'd be like, that just you do it. I'm just chilling. Just give me a fight when it's just give me a fight 2 months before that, and I'll show up. But I made it, and like flying and land this and that, and going through, and then my grandpa passed away also, not related to COVID. He was old, but still, like not being there and everything, that was an extra thing. And I mean, a lot of shit happened, and plus all the camps related thing that happened that nobody knows about, because I'm not gonna say, because I'm not the kind of guy that makes excuses. And so yeah, I mean, like, I just need to understand that it's a fight. It's the fight itself at the end in the cage is just the sum of everything that also happened before, and whatever it is, I'm just gonna overcome it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you taking the time out. Hopefully you get that big fight that you want and can travel safely to Italy and see the family again. Much appreciation, man. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.